Brothers and sisters, some time ago a woman was paging through the morning newspaper, and suddenly her eyes fell upon an ad in the personal column. The ad read, "Are you lonely, depressed, or desperate? Call this number and just listen." Out of sheer curiosity, the woman went to the phone and dialed the number. She got a recorded message. A pleasant voice said to her, "Know that wherever you find yourself, there also you will find God. God is within you. You are never alone. No matter where you are or in what situation you find yourself, God is always there to help you." And then the voice went on to talk about the law of the echo. This law says that if you shout into an echo chamber, a shout will return to you. If you curse into an echo chamber, a curse will return to you. If you sing into an echo chamber, a song will come back to you. The voice went on to say that the law of the echo also applies to life. In other words, you get back from life pretty much what you give to life. Today's gospel illustrates what that means in the concrete. Jesus says, "Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you." There's a famous story from somewhere, I don't remember where, about a man, a foolish man actually. He heard that Buddha taught that you should never return evil for evil. So one day he met Buddha and decided to see if Buddha actually practiced what he was preaching. So the man began heaping all kinds of verbal abuse on the great teacher, shouting at him and calling him a stupid fool and all kinds of things like that. And all the while Buddha listened patiently, and when the man ran out of things to say, Buddha said to him, "My son, if a man declines to accept a gift from another, to whom does the gift go?" And the man answered scornfully, "Any fool knows that. The gift goes back to the giver." "My son," said Buddha, "you've just given me much verbal abuse. I decline to accept your gift." The man made no reply. And then Buddha went on to say, "My son, a man who slanders a virtuous person is like a man who spits at the sky. The spittle doesn't soil the sky, it only comes back to soil the face of the man who spat. A man who slanders a virtuous person is like a man who flings dust into the wind. The dust does not reach its target, it only blows back into the face of the man who threw it." That story of Buddha, to me, is an illustration. Another illustration was meant by the law of the echo. A person generally gets back from life exactly what the person puts into life. Give abuse, you get abuse back. Give love, you get love back. Many people are lonely and depressed today because of the law of the echo. They have either forgotten or neglected to reach out to others, and as a result, no one has reached out to them. There's a prayer book you might be familiar with. It's one of these prayer guides that comes out on a monthly basis called The Upper Room. And the Upper Room also contains personal stories of people. One story this woman wrote. She said that at one point in her life she was confined to a psychiatric ward in a hospital, and as her stay in the hospital went on from days to weeks, her depression deepened. And since her family lived in Europe, there was no one around to whom she could turn for help. And it was while she was in this mental state that the woman happened to see a notice on the hospital bulletin board saying, "Volunteers are needed in the geriatric department." She decided to respond to the notice. Now listen to her own words about what happened next. She writes, "Why I responded is known only to God, but it was God's will to bring me back to life. Each day I spent with the elderly people awakened something in me until it burst forth one day when I told Miguel, a forgotten, lonely, paralyzed man who cried big tears and sobbed constantly. I told him that I loved him. He stopped crying. He looked at me, said to me, 'You do?' He asked with the innocence of a child. 'I do,' I answered. And at that moment, I began to live again." There could hardly be a clearer illustration of the law of the echo. You get back from life what you put into it. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give gifts, gifts will be given to you. So today's gospel, it seems to me, is an invitation to kind of check out our lives and see if we have forgotten or neglected the law of the echo. Are we perhaps lonely or depressed because we have failed to reach out to others? And for that reason, they have not reached out to us. Are we lonely or out of sorts because we have forgotten, because we have returned evil for evil and have reaped a harvest of evil in return? Or maybe we've forgotten what the voice on the telephone said in the recorded message. Know that wherever you find yourself, there also you will find God. God is within you. You are never alone. No matter where you are or in what situation you find yourself, God is always there to help you. Let me close with a prayer. Lord, when we become lonely or depressed, remind us of the law of the echo. Remind us that we get back from life what we give to life. Remind us that if we forgive, we will be forgiven. If we give, we will receive gifts. If we love, we will be loved. In other words, we shall reap what we sow. Amen.